Blake Lively scores a win amid her ongoing legal battle against Justin Baldoni. After the Gossip Girl alum and husband Ryan Reynolds applied for a protective order earlier this month to keep sensitive information from circulating to the public, a judge for the Southern District of New York has approved a modified version of the order.
Ryan Reynolds is jokingly calling out his wife, Blake Lively, for
win in court today for fakely. However, she shouldn't be celebrating too hard.
Hollywood's latest courtroom drama has taken a shocking turn. Blake Lively, the beloved actress, fashion icon, and queen of effortless charm, is now at the center of a legal battle gripping the entertainment industry. In a major win, Lively has had her latest legal request granted in her case against It Ends With Us director and co-star Justin Baldoni. But this is only the beginning. Lively is suing Baldoni over alleged on-set misconduct and an alleged post-film smear campaign, while Baldoni has fired back with a staggering $400 million countersuit.
Big update in one of Justin Baldoni's legal battles. After the New York Times filed a motion to exit the director's $400 million federal defamation lawsuit that also names Blake Lively, husband Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist, a judge has granted the newspaper's request for stay of discovery on March 4th, according to documents obtained by E! News. The filing, which requests that the judge temporarily halt parties from having to exchange information or documents, was granted as United States District Judge Louis J. Lyman reviews the outlet's February 28th motion of dismissal. He notes in the most recent document that the New York Times, which is included in the lawsuit for its December reporting on Blake's Civil Rights Department complaint, presents, quote, substantial grounds and a strong showing that its motion to dismiss is likely to succeed on the merits.
Judge overseeing their federal case in New York, Judge Lyman, ruled on the former B-list actress's request for an additional layer of protection. The unliftable Blake was not happy with the standard protective order in the case. She wanted an attorney's eyes only designation. And the judge has granted that. Congrats to Taylor Swift. Of the judge's ruling, a spokesperson for Delulu says, quote, today, the court rejected the Wayfarer party's objections and entered the protections needed to ensure the free flow of discovery material without any risk of witness intimidation or harm to any individual's security. With this order in place, Ms. Lively will move forward in the discovery process to obtain even more of the evidence that will prove her claims in court.
Now, here's where the case took a dramatic turn. During a pivotal moment in the proceedings, the judge reportedly reprimanded Justin Baldoni for alleged misconduct, calling his behavior unprofessional and inexcusable. The ruling was said to include significant financial consequences, with Baldoni allegedly ordered to pay substantial damages to Blake Lively. The reaction has been sharply divided. Some fans view the decision as fully justified, while others argue Baldoni was unfairly targeted. So is there more to this story than meets the eye? And perhaps most intriguingly, what exactly prompted Blake Lively's noticeable smirk in the courtroom?
The Post said a few things that when we look back now, that kind of makes sense. There were a few things mentioned that insinuates some of the drama that was going on that set. First of all, the person is saying that Blake Lively felt uncomfortable around Justin Baldoni. The person is also claiming that Blake Lively felt uncomfortable when the word "see" was used. And the person also says that, which is what I think most people are reacting to, is that Blake Lively went to Sony Studios and said, if you don't go for my cut of this movie, my version of this movie, I will go out in the New York Times and accuse Justin Baldoni of harassment. And as we know, that is what happened at a later point. But if this is true, that she threatened Sony back then to go to the New York Times and accuse Justin Baldoni of these things, that is pretty.
So why does it feel like no one is talking to Justin Baldoni? Why is he doing press alone, appearing isolated in interviews, and reportedly being unfollowed on Instagram by Blake Lively, his co-star, the lead of the film he directed, and even, notably, by Colleen Hoover, the author of the original novel. What began as a professional on-set partnership has spiraled into a full-blown Hollywood legal nightmare. From harassment allegations to an increasingly bitter defamation battle, the drama surrounding It Ends With Us now feels bigger than the movie itself. Unsurprisingly, many observers are already drawing comparisons to the highly publicized Johnny Depp-Amber Heard case, noting similar patterns of public opinion, media narratives, and career fallout. Now let's talk about the moment that sparked a media frenzy: Blake Lively's courtroom smirk. According to eyewitnesses, just after the judge delivered a ruling unfavorable to Baldoni, Lively was seen giving what some interpreted as a triumphant, almost amused, smile. Was it simply a fleeting, human reaction, or something more calculated? Legal experts suggest the ruling marked a significant setback for Baldoni. The judge reportedly determined that the complexity and sensitivity of the issues involved require a tightly controlled discovery process. In practical terms, certain materials will be accessible only to attorneys, reducing the risk of leaks that could sway public opinion. That decision alone shifts the power dynamics of the case, and some believe Lively's smirk may have been her way of acknowledging a small but meaningful victory in a legal war that's far from over.
Blake Lively plaintiff versus Wayfarer, then it's Wayfarer plaintiff versus Blake Lively. It's a dueling lawsuit, all consolidated into one, at least for pretrial purposes. Part of the argument by Justin Baldoni is going to try to get their case against the New York Times in California to get away from some of the generous laws that exist in New York State. And of course, that's where the New York Times is located. But they argue your defamatory statements affect my client specifically in California.
If you support Justin, that you are somehow misogynistic, you hate.
As the trial continues, all eyes are now on what those sealed documents might reveal. Could they contain explosive evidence that strengthens Blake Lively's case? Or might they expose a deeper, more tangled web of Hollywood influence and behind-the-scenes maneuvering? With every new twist, this legal battle is fast becoming one of the most talked-about scandals in recent memory. Social media has erupted with speculation. Some believe Lively's expression was nothing more than relief after a tense legal moment, while others are convinced it was a deliberate power move, a silent but unmistakable message aimed at Justin Baldoni and her critics. Adding fuel to the debate, several body language experts have weighed in, suggesting her reaction reflected a mix of confidence and vindication. One thing is certain: as the case unfolds, public scrutiny isn't slowing down, and neither is the fascination with what may come next.
There's no one talking to Justin. Why is he doing all the press alone? Why is he getting shunned in interviews? Why is he getting unfollowed on Instagram by Blake Lively, his co-star, and the lead of the movie he directed, and weirdly, Colleen Hoover, who is the author.
Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's on-set partnership has turned into a Hollywood legal nightmare. From harassment allegations to a bitter defamation war, the drama behind It Ends With Us is more than just a movie plot. And a lot of people are making comparisons between this case and the infamous battle between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Insiders say Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were once on friendly terms, even collaborating closely on projects. But somewhere along the way, things reportedly took a sharp turn. Rumors suggest a major fallout tied to a film project sparked growing tension between them, with whispers of backstabbing and betrayal now circulating behind the scenes. What was once a professional partnership has allegedly unraveled into distrust, setting the stage for the high-stakes legal battle now playing out in public view.
Judge Lyman explains that the burden of discovery is not measured only by the number of pages. He emphasizes it is also determined by the complexity of the issue that discovery will present and the sensitivity of the documents that will be requested. The judge adds that if the court denies the newspaper's motion, Justin's team, who is also suing the New York Times in a separate $250 million defamation lawsuit, can request the extent of discovery they are seeking. A New York Times spokesperson addresses the latest update in a statement to E! News, saying, quote, "We appreciate the court's decision today, which recognizes the important First Amendment values at stake here. The court has stopped Mr. Baldoni from burdening the Times with discovery requests in a case that should never have been brought again."
Some industry insiders claim that Justin Baldoni initially approached Blake Lively for a role in one of his directorial ventures, but the collaboration reportedly fell apart due to creative differences. Was this the first crack in their relationship? It's impossible to know for sure. What is clear, however, is that their professional relationship appeared to deteriorate over time, eventually escalating into the high-stakes courtroom battle that now has Hollywood in a chokehold.
Baldoni had apparently subpoenaed a security firm that works with the couple, and Gavrnsky argued there was no reason why their security arrangements should be made public for everybody to see. And she also raised the alarm about the potential disclosure of Lively's medical information, including, quote, profound mental health issues, as well as details about her children, the locations of private residences, and, quote, personal and intimate conversations with third parties. And Gavrnsky argued that while these conversations might have, quote, marginal relevance to the case, their, quote, PR will be high if leaked. And she cited Baldoni's alleged connections to individuals who, quote, will do anything and hate Miss Lively, claiming he was operating on an unlimited budget and had, quote, committed $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family. This seems to be in reference to another one of the defendants in this case, Steve Sarowitz, who allegedly pledged at one point that he would spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss.
But here's where the story takes an even more intriguing turn. Taylor Swift has now been pulled into the drama. Judge Liz reportedly ruled that Swift may possess evidence relevant to the case, potentially making her a material witness. While it remains unclear what Swift actually knows, sources speculate that her close friendship with Blake Lively could have given her insight into key behind-the-scenes events. Given Swift's well-documented history of speaking out against industry power imbalances and manipulation, her potential involvement adds an entirely new layer to an already explosive legal battle, one that could significantly shift both the narrative and public perception as the case unfolds.
Lively and her family.
But here's an interesting twist. A source close to Blake insists the smirk has been completely misinterpreted. Blake wasn't gloating, the source claimed. She was just reacting to the sheer intensity of the moment. So, was Blake throwing subtle shade at Justin, or was it all just blown out of proportion? Let's rewind and dig into the history of their relationship to understand what led to this moment. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, two well-respected figures in Hollywood, but what many don't know is that their history is far from smooth.
The Baldoni team is being accused of malfeasance, of sexual harassment, and in exchange, they have filed a counter lawsuit claiming defamation and basically extortion, saying that Blake Lively tried to steal this movie from Justin Baldoni. And one of the allegations is to show the pressure that was put on Justin Baldoni, who I might refer to, for purposes of example, as a C-list actor, someone who was best known for his role in Jane the Virgin, which most people haven't even seen or heard of. In fact, before this lawsuit, many people did not even know who Justin Baldoni was, because he is not at the level of Blake Lively and her very famous husband, Ryan Reynolds. So Baldoni buys the rights to this movie and starts producing the movie. And as we know, as things unfold, Blake Lively accuses him of doing all kinds of things. And as a response, Justin Baldoni and his team come back and say, not only did we not do those things, but Blake Lively is the one that's complicit here. Blake Lively is the one that tried to steal this whole entire production out.
With allegations flying, courtroom bombshells dropping, and unexpected witnesses stepping into the spotlight, this trial is shaping up to be one of Hollywood's most shocking legal battles yet.
Appears like a lot of that drama was fabricated by Justin Baldoni's PR team, according to Blake. When the movie was released, there were a ton of rumors surrounding disputes that happened on set, that there was a feud between the two actors. They refused to appear together to promote the film, and there was a ton of public backlash against Blake for how she was responding to questions about domestic violence and would kind of joke or make light of it. And she also was accused of using the opportunity, while talking about these sensitive topics, to self-promote and push her new hair.
Now let's talk about the aftermath. Since that courtroom moment went viral, celebrities and fans alike have been weighing in. Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband, was quick to address the buzz in his signature humorous style. When asked about the so-called smirk controversy, he reportedly joked, "Blake's smirking. Impossible. She's an angel. Case closed." Chrissy Teigen also chimed in on social media, writing that smirking in court is legendary, and joking that she aspires to that level of confidence. On the other hand, some public figures have expressed support for Justin Baldoni. Gabrielle Union posted on Instagram, "We don't know the full story. Let's not be so quick to judge. The mixed reactions highlight just how divided public opinion has become, and how this case continues to spark debate far beyond the courtroom.
Not find simply one picture of Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni online. You can't find one on the red carpets. I have not been able to find anything. If you Google Ryan Reynolds, Justin Baldoni, the only pictures that come up are Justin alone, Justin with his wife, Ryan and Hugh Jackman, or Ryan with Blake Lively. There is something going on. It's bigger probably than we can even imagine. I love the spin that they're trying to say that because Justin Baldoni plays a character that is physically abusive in the book / movie. If you haven't seen or read the book, that is what a lot of it is about. And because he plays the villain, they're trying to kind of like separate him out. Do you believe that he was the source of the issues? Meaning he saw this movie as something else. He wanted to run this production in a different way than everyone else did. He had different intentions for this film, and it went against every single other person, including the author of the book. Did Justin Baldoni want to make this movie a really dark, depressing, serious film where everyone, including Colleen Hoover, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Jenny Slate, maybe the studios, who knows, wanted to make it more of an uplifting, like, flower film, which is what you see in all the promos? Because Blake Lively doesn't exactly equal, like, serious dramatic actress. She is synonymous with, like, the Taylor Swift, Swiftie generation. And so between her and Ryan Reynolds, who runs all these, like, funny, comedic type films, is there a world where they were thinking that, they wanted It Ends With Us, which is a book serious, like, about some serious DV issues, like major drama. It's not just like a happy movie or a happy book. It shouldn't be. Is that what the issue is? What could have...
Clearly, Hollywood is divided, and the media isn't letting this story go anytime soon. Hashtags like #BlakeSmirk and #JusticeForJustin have been trending non-stop, proving once again that nothing fuels Hollywood gossip quite like a high-profile courtroom clash. But beyond the headlines and viral moments lies a much bigger question. What does this entire situation reveal about Hollywood's inner workings, its power dynamics, public narratives, and the way reputations can rise or unravel in real time?
Taylor Swift is a material witness. I'll tell you why. Justin Baldoni claims that on a specific evening, Blake Lively invited him over to her home in New York City so that they could discuss some possible script changes. Now, this was not her role. She was not hired as a writer. She was not hired to, make script changes. But Justin Baldoni said, he wanted to humor her. He wanted to keep things going smoothly. So he agreed to go over and meet with her for what he anticipated was a business meeting. Now, he walks into this townhouse, and not only is her husband there, who's extremely famous, who happens to be a billionaire, who's one of the most famous actors, A-list actors of all time, but also her bestie, Taylor Swift, is there. At first glance, that's also fine because, maybe they were hanging out and Taylor Swift happened to be there, and they were gonna, maybe Blake was gonna take some time out of her socializing with Taylor Swift to have this business meeting. But the problem is that when Baldoni arrived, Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds didn't just go to the other room, didn't, leave the two of them, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, alone so that they could discuss whatever they needed to discuss. They actually participated in and sort of ganged up on Justin Baldoni in encouraging him to make the script changes that Blake Lively laid out. Now, let me tell you what the problem is with this. There's simply no way that Taylor Swift can explain her presence at this penthouse during this business meeting and her interference in the business meeting without conceding that she was in fact trying to influence Justin Baldoni. And I'll tell you why. When called to the stand to testify, Taylor Swift is going to be put on the spot and asked specifically why she was there. And assuming she's going to say, I just happened to be there hanging out with my friend, the next questions are going to be, and how did you get involved with reading the script? How did you get involved with reading the Blake Lively's changes to the script? How did you get involved in approaching Justin Baldoni when he walked in and trying to promote and encourage him to adopt Blake's changes to the script? Who asked you to do that? Did you do that on your own? Did you do that at the request of your friend? And what was the point of you doing that?
With allegations, courtroom bombshells, and unexpected witnesses stepping into the spotlight, this trial is shaping up to be one of Hollywood's most shocking legal battles yet.
Now, Gavrnsky also accused Baldoni's team of even bragging about leaking information, quote, without fingerprints and in an untraceable way, further heightening the risk of irreparable harm. She argued that even contempt proceedings for violating a protective order wouldn't, quote, unring the bell if sensitive information were made public. Now, Justin Baldoni's legal team, they weren't having this. His attorney, Brian Friedman, who as we know has been quite outspoken about this case, fired back, calling the proposal unnecessary and even offensive, saying it's offensive that anyone would suggest we would disregard a protective order. This is a case where no one has any intention of beating up or harming Miss Lively in any way. And Friedman went on to say that he believed the court's model protective order, which is the standard order that the federal court has, basically a template, that's protective enough. And as far as the attorney's eyes only stipulation or designation goes, Friedman argued that his team shouldn't be burdened with having to work around that, saying we shouldn't be put into a position where we're the ones that have to run to court every single time just given attorney's eyes only protection. My client has a right to defend himself. And he also argued that Lively and Reynolds' request would unfairly treat celebrities and powerful industry figures differently from everyone else involved in the case.
Now, let's talk about the aftermath. Since this courtroom moment went viral, celebrities and fans alike have been weighing in. Ryan Reynolds, Blake's husband, was quick to address the drama in his signature humorous style. When asked about the smirk controversy, he jokingly responded, "Blake smirking? Impossible. She's an angel. Case closed." Meanwhile, Chrissy Teigen took to Twitter saying, "Smirking in court? That's legendary. I aspire to that level of confidence." On the other hand, some celebrities have shown support for Justin. Gabrielle Union posted on Instagram, "We don't know the full story. Let's not be so quick to judge."
The big takeaway, though, that all the headlines are approaching is that she is now making it clear there are other women who felt uncomfortable on the set and that they will testify at trial. Now, that would seem damning, but she doesn't really offer any specifics. She doesn't provide any text. She doesn't tell us who these people are. Just says they don't want to get involved right now, given all the toxic virality out there, and that they will testify if necessary and be part of disclosures, etc., coming up, depositions, what have you. The first thing I noticed is, as I compared it to the last one, a lot of texts were actually removed. This is the new document, as I made a note here, but as you'll notice here, this is the original complaint. As you can see, that first text is still there, but she removed, they removed quite a few texts, specifically these right here. I want to show you the one, sorry, this is the one I'm trying to show you. The majority of socials are pro-Justin, and then they moved on their section. Majority of socials are Justin, but she removed the, he doesn't realize how lucky he is right now. We need to press on him how effing lucky. The whisper in the ear, the connotations, the JFC, other members feeling uncomfortable watching it. I mean, there's just so much. Now, you'd think these texts would be very important in her new amended complaint, but she's removed them. They're not in this complaint at all now. And part of the reason is probably because Justin revealed the context of these texts, because they did look more nefarious. But the context, if you read the full exchange, shows that Justin's publicists are saying it doesn't even matter if it's not true. And so the context of that exchange shows that they're out there combating lies.
Time and again, we've seen powerful Hollywood names get tangled in lawsuits, scandals, and public fallouts. The pressure to maintain a flawless public image is immense, and even a single misstep can make or break a career. Just look at recent controversies involving actors like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, or Shia LaBeouf's legal battles.
FAC gives the New York Times adequate notice of the claims against it. The FAC alleges that the New York Times conspired with Lively, Reynolds, Sloan, and Vision PR to advance a false and defamatory narrative concerning the Wayfair parties, ultimately coordinating a near simultaneous drop of the article, video, and CRD complaint. The allegations in these three documents fall into two principal categories. One, allegations that certain of the Wayfair parties engaged in sexual misconduct towards Lively, and two, allegations that the Wayfair parties orchestrated a retaliatory smear campaign to damage Lively's image and reputation after she purportedly reported their alleged misconduct. Those allegations are false, and the New York Times either knew they were false or acted with reckless disregard as to their falsity. To the extent the New York Times is grouped in part of the FAC with other consolidated defendants, that is because, as alleged in the FAC, they conspired in secret over a matter of months. The precise contours of the New York Times' involvement were carefully concealed and impossible to ascertain fully without disclosure.
Is this case simply another example of how quickly the tide can turn against someone in Hollywood? Or does it reveal a deeper lesson about accountability, resilience, and the high stakes of navigating the industry's public spotlight?
There have been a lot of comparisons between this case and the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard legal saga that unfolded in 2022. There is a big difference here, practically. We won't have cameras in the courtroom for the proceedings and potentially an upcoming trial for Lively Baldoni, this federal case. But why are we seeing the comparisons? Why are people making the comparisons? And do you think those comparisons ring true?
Jesse, thank you for having me. It's great to be here and to see you again. I think there are some comparisons. You have, on both sides, you have prominent actors, which you had also in the Depp case. I think the stakes are a little bit different in this case. In Johnny's case, he was suing for defamation. He was really suing to get his reputation back. It was more of an existential issue for him, a challenge that we had, and I think the other side had, but I think they really have it in this case, is to convince a jury of lay people why they should care about a dispute between two very powerful, successful, attractive actors. And I think that's a challenge, irrespective of the serious nature of the allegations.
That's very true. And look, the allegations that were leveled in Depp v. Heard were very, very different than what we're talking about here.
Is this case just another example of how quickly the tide can turn against someone in Hollywood? Or is there a deeper lesson to be learned about accountability and resilience in the industry?
You talk about how important receipts are. And obviously, Justin is bringing so many receipts. I was at a bachelorette weekend with people who were so team Lively, I was like caught off guard. And so I kind of want to act like I'm one of them right now and ask you some questions. They were saying to me, well, women have nothing to gain from coming out like that. I was trying to explain, well, this particular woman did. What would you say when people say women have nothing to gain by claiming sexual harassment?
Well, I would say that generally, no, you don't have much to gain. But like we've seen before, like, for example, Amber Heard, she had a lot to gain, right? When it comes to getting a settlement from Johnny Depp and so on. And with Blake Lively now, that we've seen the receipts from Justin Baldoni, and I think all those people that you're talking about that are pro-Blake, they haven't bothered to look into his side of things. And what happened when that New York Times article came out? So many people jumped on that straight away.
Either way, both Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni are now navigating uncharted waters. What happens next could determine whether this scandal fades into the background or becomes a defining moment in their careers. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Was Blake Lively's courtroom smirk justified, or was it unnecessary? Is Justin Baldoni being treated unfairly, or does he deserve the criticism? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you never miss another celebrity deep dive.